Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to another episode of The Target Table, and today joining us we have Jenna Davies. From humble beginnings as a bodybuilder to now an entrepreneur who's absolutely killing it in the fitness industry. Jenna Davies is one of the co-founders of marketing agency Big Appetite, the founder of the Fitness Business Strategy, and Jenna Davies Marketing. Jenna is no stranger to building a successful startup. In today's episode, Jenna talks to us about brand building, how to build a startup from scratch, managing your time, storytelling, and marketing. Not only did we get to unpack all these amazing things, but we also got to dive a little bit into her story, her mindset, and some of the challenges that we face as entrepreneurs. I really enjoyed this conversation, and I hope you do too.
This is an industry normal, we can't change it.
Yeah.
And I imagine if everyone always said that. Hear somebody say something that's a fixed mindset, you know, I wish I could, or I never got to, or I can't.
Yeah, I suck at reading.
You live in your own head, and what a terrible place to live if you suck at everything and nothing is easy.
Yeah.
I launched this ebook called Your Game Plan. I sold like 50 in a week, right?
Wow.
And then I rebranded it to the PT Game Plan.
Okay.
I sold 500 overnight. It's like we lost another one to the fitness clan. Or you could still be that girl from school who like loves Blink 182, watches anime, and I get her, she gets me. If you're given another day on this planet, you get to move through it.
Love that perspective. Jenna, thank you so much for joining us on the Target Table today. We're excited to have you on. And having a look through your feed and your businesses, you do many different things. And your background actually stems from FMCG, so maybe that's how you kind of got your marketing legs potentially, which I'm excited to dive into. And you also did bodybuilding.
Yeah.
So I never claimed to be a bodybuilder, but I have certainly read Arnold Schwarzenegger's books and was like an amateur bodybuilder, which got me into working at World Gym. So I worked at World Gym for a couple of years, helped operate some of their clubs and learned a lot about supplements and all the rest of it. But yeah, definitely amateur when it comes to that. But for you, you've been able to create multiple companies and have success in a lot of different ways. And before this, we're talking a lot about the tech and everything that you're doing. But for you, so how did you kind of end up on this entrepreneurial trajectory? Because it seems like you're doing a lot and you can't help yourself but create new and greater and bigger things.
It's a great question. It is a lot, and I'm really trying to sort of come back to that one thing that we do and enforce that with many different clients, which is where I love what I do so much because you can flex across different businesses. But in terms of how it started, I'd have to say I was heavily influenced by my dad as a child.
Okay.
He was quite strong, quite stern.
South African?
Ex-South African army.
Yeah.
He was working in corporate when we immigrated to Australia, and he was in sales. He was selling for a company called Alsco at the time, which was facility services, very masculine industry, always on the phone, always yelling. He talks loudly. And when I was a kid, I used to just love going to work with him and drawing on the whiteboard in a boardroom full of nobody, presenting to my imaginary team. Because I was just, I don't know, I just loved to play that way as a kid. Yeah. And I finished school when I was 17. I went to uni. Did a business and commerce degree, and from there I started working in facility services. So I was selling pest control and hygiene services out of uni. Yeah.
Very different industries.
Yeah, I sort of like went straight into follow my dad's footsteps. Yeah. And I love sales. I really did. I just love the chase. I love people. I love numbers. I have like a very literal brain, but I just knew that wasn't how I was going to live my life, you know. And I also really liked the independence of a sales role, being out on the road, making your own budget. Whenever you do it in the month, it doesn't matter. Then you kind of like, you can cruise or you can work in. Yeah. So I got a taste for that really young. And it was very fruitful in terms of chasing dollars from being in a sales position. And I got qualified as a personal trainer because I had my own training journey, my own experience at the time. Straight out of uni, got qualified as a PT, and then took that to take me into FMCG, working in health and wellness.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
So you've got like these different worlds coming together. So for me, my background's in sales as well. So everything from mobile phones to cars, insurance, like you name it, vacuums, I was selling it. But like there is an art form to sales as well. Cause like for me, I looked at sales as like this exchange of ideas and values, and you got to meet people. You got to, like you said, kind of be in control of your destiny of how much you made that month and how well you performed. How much of like maybe your sales background influenced the other endeavors that you've gone on, and how have you maybe stuck to your roots in sales as well, potentially?
Hugely.
Yeah.
Sales and selling is so underrated, and it has such a stigma because of sales resistance and people not wanting to look pushy.
Yeah.
But sales is persuasion. And if you believe in what you are selling, and if you truly believe that you can deliver the result that you say, and you're working with integrity, then you should believe that everybody in the room technically could be a potential user or customer, depending on who that person is.
Yeah.
And if you're enthusiastically telling somebody about what you do and you've nailed the product market fit, you know and believe that it can help somebody, then what you're doing is just helping them help themselves.
Yeah.
And so I always say sales is a transfer of enthusiasm. It's making someone
I've never
else.
heard that.
Yeah. So
Nice.
how can I give you the enthusiasm that I have? Because I genuinely believe that what I have will work for you. You just can't see it yet.
I believe in that as well. In my experience being a salesperson, I could never sell anything I personally didn't like. It was based in furniture as a background, and the pieces of furniture I was like, that's not a fit for them. That's not going to work for them. No, but I could direct them across to the best fit for them and problem solve for them, and it was great. Yeah.
And this is where product knowledge is so important, because I was learning about bed bugs, and I was learning about the germs on hands and absenteeism rates in the office, and I would walk in but I became passionate about it, and I think if you believe in whatever you're selling, you can become passionate about anything. You don't have to quit your job and do something you love. You can learn to love it by learning it better, really.
Yeah, I think that transaction energy is a big one, because even when I was selling vacuums, because I actually was like one of the top performing vacuum sales guys in Australia. Not that that's something.
Claim to fame.
Yeah,
I'll
put it
take
on
it.
a cape.
But I got really obsessed about like, the stuff that lives in your carpet and how terrible it is for your children. And you just go in this like rabbit warren of like problems that customers are like, oh my God, okay, I'll buy that vacuum, But like if you were just giving them the data that is helpful, but you weren't enthused about it, it doesn't sell. Like they have to feel your energy. They have to feel that you care. And it's like you got to really inject yourself into that process.
Yeah, and you learn to adapt it. Like if you realize how easy it is for babies to crawl on the carpet and put their hand in their mouth, and you see someone with a kid, that's the angle.
Yeah.
Versus
you can shift the angle.
somebody
right?
with asthma. You know, when you really know what you're selling, you're able to sort of pick, and that's why I feel sales is so important, because it's identifying the pain point in the market and packaging your offer that way, whether it's verbally or online in content. It's the same thing.
How much do you think like maybe the sales mindset creates a dilemma for customers of yours, in the mindset of, okay, I need to go start my business? I know you work with a lot of personal trainers. Like, do you feel like that gets in the way of a lot of people and their ideas and their businesses?
Yeah, I feel that if you didn't come up through a corporate system, corporate office, or in that world, you may never have had a sales role unless you were front desk at a gym as well. Like obviously there's great sales training for a lot of big gym chains, but sales is like a dirty word.
Yeah.
And people don't want to do sales calls. They don't want to do Zoom calls to make a sale. And when I just say, why not? It's like, that's the one thing that people lie to me. I just texted that person, or I just called them in the car. And it's just sort of the one thing that I think really kind of holds people back, because when you're trying to build a brand and you are not widely encountered, your greatest asset is time in the market, time in front of your person or prospect.
I think people think too much about themselves. Like when you're selling, you're injecting yourselves into the shoes of the person you're talking to and focused on them and their needs. And if you're thinking too much about you, how you come across, if you're being too pushy, it just derails the whole experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they can feel that disconnect as well. Because like, when you're talking to someone and you're having a conversation, but you can tell their mind's elsewhere. It's the same thing in sales. Like you have to be very present. You have to really identify what they need. And like you said, the angle, like that's such a big one. It's trying to figure out for this particular person in front of me, what is the thing they care about the most. Like we talked about this before, the book, The 10X Rule from Grant Cardone. We both love that same book. And my favorite chapter in that book is chapter 6, because he says, don't be a little bitch. But he has this really cool phrase where he says, I don't think it's his content. I think he pulled it from somewhere, but he's like, when you're selling something, don't sell the drill, sell the whole. So like if someone comes, to you with a product offering or whatever else, it's like, maybe your objective is, I just want a hole in the wall to hang up that picture. Don't sell the features and benefits of that particular drill bit, But if that's what they want, then you sell that. You got to
Yeah,
find the angle.
definitely.
Do you have any ways or methods that you find help you find the angle early on in the sales process when you're talking to clients?
Yeah, it's actually pretty simple. I've had to simplify it as best as I could, but generally when I ask people what they do, they tell me how they do it.
Right.
App, 4-weekly training program, macros, calories, meal plans, content library, everything that you need at your fingertips, right?
Yeah.
Actually, they don't say that last part. But
It's a nice summary.
Yeah, so they kind of like list it. And then I'm like, okay, so what's the benefit of the feature? And then I'm like, okay, so why do I need that? So you can, right?
Yeah.
And then you end up with a table of hopes and dreams, right? It's like energy for everything that you need to do in your life, confidence to chase your dreams. Like that's what people come from or can have with.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, you can taper it back a little bit for your messaging, but it's about figuring out who is my person and who's my market and what do they want.
Yeah.
But I really just like to get granular and really narrow the niche and go deep with who it is that we're talking to. And I love like a 3-sentence paragraph of who the one person is that we're looking for when starting, because then you can really hit the nail on the head with pain points. And
Exactly.
I think there is a bit of imposter syndrome around selling the result on social media because there are so many people selling, but also there's so many people buying and so many people need help. And in the old days, people would go to libraries or Google, and now they're actually just looking to the person that they know who's kind of done it themselves and could maybe help them do it too.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, you know, when it comes to like clients as well, because something we were talking about earlier, which is, you know, when you say to someone like, hey, like who are you targeting? And they say everyone. And we're like, okay, we got work to do, you know? Like, do you find that there's a bit of a learning curve there for people that they have to adjust their thinking to know the value of why they should niche down? Because there's fear around that as well. Like if I niche down too hard, does that mean I'm going to be a turn off to everyone else?
Or what if I don't make money? Or
Yeah.
I'm not going to
What if
make
it
as
doesn't
many
work?
sales.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel it kind of coming back to the sales process, you need to be an active listener. And when you're a startup, if you're not making $1 million a year, if you haven't serviced 1,000 clients, let's just say startup, and if you aren't actively listening to the feedback and listening to your market, you're not going to be able to either validate your offer or narrow your niche, which you need to do if you haven't validated your offer. But a lot of people are really married to their identity and the identity of the brand and the products that they've created because it worked for them. But it's like,
they don't want to move with it.
Yeah.
Like move with the market and what they discover from it.
Yeah. So you've got to be a real active listener to your market always. And it can change. You know, we were talking about this before in terms of who we started working with in business and who we like to work with now and stages of business. And it does change as you evolve and have runs on the board and leverage, like proof to leverage.
Yeah.
But you can only change it by observing who's coming in and what they're wanting as well.
Yeah. That's a really good point. And do you find with personal brands in particular, trainers and coaches and people of that nature, do you find that it's difficult for them to get a grip of branding because it's a personal brand, it's so attached to them, but then they're trying to create this external part of them? It's like a difficult bridge to cross to productize yourself. And that's where imposter syndrome shows up and all the rest of it.
I love that term, productize. It's my favorite thing.
Me
to
too.
say
I'm
to
obsessed
people
with that
right now.
moment. Yeah.
Productizing.
Yeah. And
and
productizing yourself is a weird one because you're like, I'm not a product, I'm a human being. It's like, well, hang on a second.
We're automating and productizing.
Yeah, we're making your digital footprint. We're telling stories like what? Like how do we make that so that people see it and get value, then don't feel like they're being sold to, but then at the same time are interested enough to reach out and go to your links and like inquire and stuff.
I think productizing comes with the exit strategy.
Okay.
So I work with a lot of trainers, and in the initial starting of our journey together, I always say, what's your exit strategy? And that's usually when they just go, huh? And
What are you talking about?
By the way, it's so fine if you don't have one. Like if you just want to make money and just go that way in life, that is so fine. But if you do want to exit, we need to create a sellable asset or a reason to acquire or merge. And that comes with data, products, or tech.
Yeah.
And so that kind of paints a picture for them in terms of how you can productize a personal brand. But I'm really lucky. A lot of the leads that I get are solid. Like I'm at a stage where I would love to work with 95% of the people that come to me, and they do. And they know that they need to build a brand. They know that they need to productize their personal brand, and I know that they don't know how as such. That's obviously why they're there, but they're open to it. I think there's a lot of content around. If you've come to me, you're probably following a couple of other, brand builders in your repertoire and understanding the importance of time and money.
Yeah.
And when you're trading time by the hour, there's something's got to give, right?
And that's a tricky one for PTs or coaches or anything of that nature, is like trading time for money, because everything's like hour based.
Yeah.
Do you try to get people out of that mind frame and into value based selling instead of
100%.
instead of just saying I'll trade an hour for X?
Yeah, I also try and get them out of weekly.
Okay.
It's really hard to do because it's like, it's an industry normal, we can't change it.
Yeah.
And I imagine if everyone always said that.
But I can't be different, or I won't sell. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just feel like weekly implies that there's an exchange of something new for for the money that week. So a call or a check-in or a session. And I just feel like that's also a danger zone. I really like package pricing.
Yeah.
You don't get like an itemized breakdown from, I can't even think of an industry right now, but my point is package pricing when you're selling the result, right?
Right. The outcome, the
exactly.
eventuation. How would you kind of frame that? Like, what would that look like versus you're going to get X amount of hours, you're going to get a nutrition plan, you're going to get
I think if you have to list the features and benefits, you haven't sold.
Okay.
You haven't sold to your prospect. So if you are an authority and you've got enough trust and credibility in your buyer's mind and you've made your offer, you've tailored it to them, you've picked your angle and you've presented it in a way that you can sell the result and you've got proof, they're not going to ask you how you do it.
That's a good point. They care a lot more about you, the person.
Yeah.
Like what kind of person you are, what your story is, why you're relevant to them.
Yeah, they care about themselves. They just want to know that you can do it for me. Like, I'm not going to go and ask them how they service my car.
Yeah.
Just make it nice and fresh and let me go drive it again, right? So I think a lot of people, once you fall back on features and benefits, you then fall into this danger zone of, oh, I have my nutrition done from someone else and I don't need this and I'm happy to actually see you fortnightly. So can I cut it in half? It's like, I mean, you still sit there and put all your years of expertise and hard work into creating the periodized training program, which is probably what you like doing best anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it's important to have like a value-based model.
Yep.
And I love package pricing and then, a payment plan, whether you pay it off weekly or monthly or fortnightly. It's not,
break the price down.
But it is a tricky space for coaches. That's quite a more sort of advanced business model if you're working with bigger projects or developments or orders essentially to have like a account that you can pay off. But I just think you can take a leaf out of take a leaf out of the books of businesses before us and in industries bigger than us.
Yeah.
Which is why I love looking at like how they do things or how they communicate branding in FMCG, in pharmaceuticals, in fashion.
Cross-industry inspiration is the best way for innovation.
Yeah. Emma's always doing that on projects because you know how you get the question where the client's like, have you ever worked in this industry before? And then, usually our rebuttal is like, yeah, we may have. But what's actually more interesting is like, hey, what could you learn from like this fashion label? But I'm a PT. Yeah, but they did this thing and it worked for them. Can we hibernate that for you? Like cross-pollinating ideas is so powerful.
Yeah.
To differentiate yourself, stand out, do something unique and different.
Yeah, I think it's really important, especially in my space, PTs in Australia. We're a really small market. There's 25 million people in Australia and I think like 330 million in the States and 30 million people in the city of London.
Yeah, wow.
So when you think about, marketing, we're looking at each other. We're really putting ourselves in like a fish bowl versus the ocean in terms of brilliant minds hired by trillion-dollar businesses and working in multinational industries and corporations that have to appeal to the masses.
Yeah.
So
are you seeing that change? Are you seeing it like because of maybe the advent of social media, people have a bit more exposure to the world? And do you see PTs maybe pulling inspiration from the US and from London and other places or not really?
I don't see it,
Yeah.
but that's what I do.
That's why you exist.
That's why you come to me.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah. So you think maybe like people need to expand their mindset to kind of look abroad. And
Definitely.
look laterally, like who else in a similar industry to me is killing it overseas and like draw inspiration.
Yeah.
Actually, where do you draw inspiration from to help them hone their USP? Because I find that the fitness market is one of the most difficult ones to actually come up with a point of difference.
Yeah.
It's so small and so niche and very nuanced.
Feels saturated.
It's
Yeah.
very saturated,
Yeah.
and it can be difficult to differentiate from services that are basically the same. Like from a consumer's perspective, once you've kind of decided on I'm a yoga girly or I'm a muscle
Right.
bro or whatever, they
Muscle
all
mommy.
feel muscle mummy.
Yeah,
What
that's a
is
thing
that?
now.
Yeah.
It's a thing now, I think.
They kind of all feel the same. So yeah, how do you go about that process,
question.
and where do you
Yeah.
get inspiration from?
I love to bring the quirky parts of the person out that they've probably tried to smother and stifle the last 10 years of their life because
Yeah.
it's not cool.
Like fit in.
Yeah, especially in the fitness world. It's
Yeah.
like you must wear small shorts and you must have abs and you
Yeah.
drink whatever the hell that
Must
is.
have a tan, perfect hair. all the
Yeah,
rest of it, yeah.
exactly. And it's like, what about the girl with glasses and big t-shirts and tie tops? Or,
Oh, okay.
you know, like who
Yeah.
are you?
Right.
Why?
Flamingo socks.
Yeah.
Have you seen the flamingo or the
No.
chicken leg ones that people are
I
wearing?
have
yeah.
pug socks. I have pug
Yeah, I've
socks.
seen
Yes.
those. Yeah, they're
But
cool.
I like to ask people what were their favorite cartoons growing up and
Wow.
why. I like
That's
cartoons.
a good one.
That is a
Yeah,
good
so
question.
who's your favorite character? It says a lot about people when
Mm.
you're a kid, and sometimes they're like, "What relevance does this have to
Yeah,
do
they're
with
like,
anything?"
how's this going to help my brand?
But it's
Yeah.
about being relatable. And if
Yeah.
if you've built a personal brand or you haven't, but you've got a network because you're 30 and you've lived your life in multiple places and people know you, right? But now all of a sudden you're showing up just like everyone else. Why would I work with you? It's like we lost another one to the fitness clan. Or you could
Yeah.
still be that girl from school who like loves Blink 182, watches anime, and I get her, she gets me. She's not going to make me go on the stepper
Right,
and do
because it makes it more
kickbacks.
relevant. You're like,
Yeah, it
I
makes
can.
it-
This isn't just another PT. Like, I like Blink 182. I like that stuff. Like, there's more connectivity.
It just makes be yourself. I think
Yeah.
I know that's shit advice. I hate hearing
I get it
when
though,
people
but
say
people
that.
don't. People don't like, especially I notice, you know, because I worked in the gym. I had a lot of PTs come to me for like sales advice and all the rest of it, and like, yeah, they all feel like they're trying to fit a mold. And I'm like, I know the kind of person you are. Like you're an anime geek or whatever else it is. It's like,
Yeah.
share that. Like
Yeah.
be you on social
Yeah.
media.
You're trying to project that professional image,
Yes.
and then it just stifles
Yeah.
how you can connect with people.
Because it's the other way. It's inverted. It's like, no, be less like of a professional look.
Yeah.
Like if you
Yeah.
look at Gary Vee, what a great model, right? Like
Yep.
broke the mold. He was speaking on stages when everyone was wearing suits and had keynotes and
Yeah.
laser pointers, and he's up there in his beanie
And a hat.
swearing like yeah.
And
So-
I love his stories about collecting things from garage sales and going
Yeah.
door to door and then reselling
Mug
them. And I'm
life.
just like, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just like nerd out on being you.
Well, I also
Yeah.
I experienced this myself over the last 18 months. Starting a new business, I was like, okay, I'm going to elevate my customer. I'm going to do a photo shoot and I'm going to wear an orange suit. I'm like, I've never done that in my life.
Yeah.
And also,
I did that too. I did the suit thing at one point. I was like, okay. Like,
Yeah.
because we started off at the same time, like just before COVID was when I
Yeah.
started. You started during
Yeah.
COVID or just before?
Jenna Davies marketing was January 2020. So that
Right.
started just before COVID.
Yeah. At what point did you have the orange suit?
That was
Fiasco.
2022. So
Yeah.
start of last year we did that. And I just kind of look back at it and I was like, anybody who knows, one of my best friends goes, that wasn't you.
Yeah.
You know, like it wasn't like it's fun to play dress ups,
Yeah.
but I mean, also it's just I'm a much more agile, very straight to the point. I'm not at all polished, but I was
Yeah.
presenting that way because I'm like, it's gonna make me look like I feel like I fit in. And
Yeah.
It
I don't-
gets you. It creeps up on you.
But
Yeah.
people, you're projecting an image of yourself that then they have a brand experience with you, and it's not like that.
disjointed.
And so it's not actually even cohesive with the whole experience of
Yes.
bringing on clients that you'll have that synergy with,
Yeah.
because you'll attract a type of client that is like, this is not what I was expecting, and it doesn't lead to
Yeah.
a good
hit the nail on the
experience.
head. I think that's a big problem that a lot of my clients have. Like they'll come to me, they'll do their photo shoots, or we'll do their website and branding, and we'll agree on a new direction that aligns with the customer they say they want to work with. And then they kind of go back to the sponsorship deals that they have, forcing them to wear certain things and making them post a certain type of content all the time. And
Yeah.
they kind of just go back to looking the same. And then the website's not converting as well as their content because it doesn't look the same, you know?
Yeah. That
Yeah.
becomes, I guess, incoherent, and it
Yeah.
feels like all these different experiences.
It's scary. It's really, I think, like a shout out to everyone out there that's taken on branding and then like stuck to it, because it takes some guts to decide on a new strategy and a direction. back it and then just keep rolling with it. And you'll see those ups and downs. But yeah.
Especially when it doesn't go off with a bang. There's a lot of like, it's 4 weeks later, I think I need to change this. I think I need to say it different. I go, why do you think that? And it's not to be condescending, but what data have you got? What feedback have you got? How many people have you exposed this to that have given you a general consensus that is overwhelming enough for you to now go make changes?
Yeah, exactly.
And is
'Cause
that maybe
everything has a takeoff period.
it
Everything
takes
has
time.
that. Before it has
you have to
get out
incubate it. Like even I had a moment where I think it was like year 2, I had Christo on the podcast. I was like, I gotta wear a suit and like dress up because he dresses up.
I feel the pressure to wear like stuff with type on it, like him. I'm just like, I need a cap with type.
There's a lot of pressure with Chris. And then the other one was I had in Melbourne, there was a big like taco franchise. And up until that point, I was doing a lot of like startup-y kind of businesses. We were talking a little bit about that beforehand. And this was my first like, okay, this is not a startup. So when I went in there and was like pitching my ideas, I wore a suit. I like tied my hair
I can't
up.
even imagine you in a suit. I don't think I've ever seen you in a
It was
suit
pretty
in my
cringe.
life.
Yeah. Carlos was there with me, and I was like, Carlos, we have to suit up. We have to dress apart. And we didn't get the deal. But I was like, man, had I just gone in there and just been me, I could have probably had a much better chance of it. So there is this like thing that kind of takes over where you have to feel this pressure of like, I have to act the part. But then when you just fully expose who you really are, that's where you start to have fun, you be you, all the rest of
One
it.
of our clients did it recently. Like, we're building their company brand, but they're also doing their own personal brand on the side. And they arranged a big photo shoot, and they went out and they went shopping for an outfit and all day. And I checked in with them at the end of the day on something else, and they were like, I don't know why I did that. I tried on clothing I would never in my whole life wear, had a meltdown, realized, why on earth am I even buying new clothing for this photo shoot that's so out of character? And then just wore my favorite things and felt way more comfortable.
That's what I tell people to do when they do website shoots. I'm like, okay, you do you, active wear, get a black set, get a white set, get a cotton shirt and some jeans, because I know that stuff is like timeless.
Yeah.
And then just bring your favorite shirt or hoodie or whatever it is. And they're like, really? And I'm like, I don't care if it's like daggy, shoot in it first. You'll be the most confident. It'll warm you up for the shots. And they usually turn out to be the best.
That's a great tip.
Yeah. So if people aren't used to shooting, I'm like, just practice, play in your favorite shirt. Just because a lot of people, I find, especially with girls, there's this like need to be sexy, and a lot of like sexiness isn't a part of a lot of people's brands. It's like you're either fun and approachable or friendly or bold and strong and edgy or whatever it is, but not every brand is sexy.
Yeah.
But every girl, when they do a shoot, is like sexy.
That's my one go-to. Yeah.
Literally. And I'm
For
like,
guys, just like be cool, you know.
remember to smile.
Blue steel, yeah. Like even when I was wearing the suit, I was like, how do I stand? You know, and I did a photo shoot in my garage. And we don't use the photos, like they're horrendous.
Yeah.
But when I did a shoot just wearing my normal getup, I was like, oh, this is a hell of a lot easier.
One of my favorite shoots I ever did, and it was kind of accidental as well, was actually in like a big anime shirt. I was wearing a Sailor Moon shirt.
Nice.
And I had an NWA shirt as well.
Yeah.
And I was walking
Very
around-
different worlds.
Yeah, it's like 2 personalities. And
Yeah.
that content, when I posted it on Instagram, just did so well. And I was so surprised at the time because I had clothes on compared to the bikini shots and I was bodybuilding.
Yeah.
But it was just like, it really kind of reinforced. Sometimes you just need that validation or that reinforcement that actually, like, this is the parts of me that makes me me. And this is what people are gelling with. And I think like in the coaching space, you lose yourself to what you sell. And
Right.
what you sell is indifferent. You know, if you're selling financial advice, if you're selling NLP or life coaching or weight loss or strength coaching or bodybuilding prep, it's all the same shit as everyone else selling that.
Right.
Literally.
Yeah.
So
It's like an outcome that the client wants and you're just trying to align yourself with that.
yeah, but also there's a
You're the
lot of
X factor.
there's also a lot of different people who want those same things. So like let the hardcore trainers go to the hardcore trainer and you take the, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The market, it's saturated, but it's popular.
Yeah.
There's more consumers in the space as well. So
So it's a saturated market potentially because everyone's acting a certain way.
yeah, I don't even
Not providing enough variety. You know.
yeah,
what I mean?
exactly. I don't think it's saturated. I think it's very wide. You know, I think there's a lot of players in the space. There's a lot of consumers. A lot of girls now are like, I have a coach. You know, 5-8 years ago, people weren't being like, who coaches you?
Yeah, it wasn't a
Nobody,
thing. Yeah.
unless you were an athlete. And now everyone's like, I'm an athlete.
Yeah, everyone's an athlete now. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think
Yeah.
you just got to run with it. But it's this, that's branding to me. Branding is who you are. It's the branding is the busy mom, the stressed out, hardworking girl, the dad bod. That's
Yeah.
branding.
Yeah, I saw Gary Vee put a post up and Alex Hormozy kind of riffed on it, which was interesting. But Gary was basically saying you are your niche. The niche is
agree.
you. And he was saying how like, you know, like he's like, look at Joe Rogan. He's this, you know, he's obsessed with UFC and MMA, and he loves, you know, he loves like comedy, and he does all these different things. And it's like the strange combination of those things together makes the brand unique. You know, you could say the same with any celebrity that's like really popping off.
I think you are your brand when you found what makes you
Sorry, Siri's listening to us.
when you found what makes you happy. So if
True.
you're living your most fulfilled life and
Yeah.
you love what you do, then you can be your brand because you're happy to pass that on to others. But there's a lot of people who are, you know, starting businesses or founders and they don't have to be their brand anymore,
Exactly,
right?
yeah.
But you still have to have, I guess you're still your own version of the brand. You know,
Yeah.
you can. There's the business that you start, and then there's your personal brand.
Yeah,
It's like a
which is
reputation.
like two different stratospheres, like company, corporate branding, and personal branding. In your mind, how do you, I guess, look at the two differently? Do you kind of look at them as the same ethos, or do you see differences between personal branding and corporate branding?
I do look at them differently.
Yeah,
It again comes down to how you want to be perceived and what you want people to say about you when you're not in the room. I think your personal brand is very much, well, both of them is a reputation.
Yeah.
Right. I think it's an easy way to understand personal branding is your reputation. It's your like a resume, and the word of mouth. But I feel the strategy is personal brands generally is how you make people feel when it's usually coming down to like a relatability factor and inspirational factor. It's kind of the exact same for a company brand, I believe. You just pick different angles. So, you know, for me, I would like to be seen as a founder, as a hard worker, motivating, funny, hopefully. But then,
no, watch your content. You are funny. Yeah, we were like giggling earlier. We're like, oh, yeah.
You're like, come on.
We're gonna do our homework, you know? Yeah, yeah.
But I like to
We were
think
giggling
like
a lot.
you find those things, thank you, and like playful and free, and then the business is more like, you know, safe and structured. It's different, you know, because it is a different experience as well.
And also from like the client's perspective, because I think there's a degree of differentiation between like, okay, I've founded this company, it's its own entity, it's its own thing, let's brand that thing. Whereas personal branding is like the spotlight's on you all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So then it maybe becomes a bit more nerve wracking to go through the process.
But don't you think, like, what's your thoughts on the brand behind the brand? You know, in terms of even with a startup, there's curiosity, there's storytelling. Who started that, right? You don't just launch a business or a brand, a no face brand, and people love it. So there's got to be some groundswell, like, hey, I'm starting this thing, come follow me, or people are buying into somebody because they started it.
Yeah.
Like New Tonic, started by Chris Williams
Yeah, good one.
and James. James Smith. Yeah. So I had a mental
You
blank.
got it. It's all good.
But essentially, they started a new brand, not related to what they're doing as such. They've invested in proximity. The market is nearing or adjacent, but their first buyers of this product would come from their audience,
personal brand.
and then it can grow from there. So I guess, I feel that the founder can drive the growth of the brand as well.
Yeah, which is how we built Rival, because I was just doing educational content on social media, which then people would reach out and, you know, early on, like years ago, the company was originally called Victory Front. People would reach out, and to give myself like altitude, I'm like, oh, I have an agency, which was actually just me. But then I started hiring people and all the rest of it, and it kind of grew. But like the way we built Rival was using my personal brands, you know, whereas other people are not always in the position where they want to do that, or that's not the avenue they want to go down. But yeah, I think personal branding and corporate branding, from my experience, what makes it difficult is it's very introspective. They have to sit down with themselves and analyze themselves, which can be weird. It can be a bit of a
For the personal brand.
yeah.
I was actually going to ask that, because do you find that it's easier to assist people with their personal brand, because we all have a little bit of like blindness when it comes to ourselves and maybe what we're actually perceived as by other people versus how we want to be perceived?
Yeah.
So do you find that it's easier to sit down and help them craft that image, or say, you know, you come across like this, or I really like this about you, and they're like, really? I didn't realize that. Is that easier to shape from the outside than just sitting down and doing it yourself completely solo.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, because you'd be doing it yourself solo with a business, a company brand, and presenting it back to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I feel that it can be quite tricky because this is where, you know, people need to have been on their own journey around why they're in business. I think your why is your nucleus, it's your Northern Star. It's so important for why you're working so hard. Otherwise, you're not going to put in the work. And understanding why you're here to help people. Sometimes people either suppress it, think it's irrelevant, or haven't kind of done the inner work around that, which is not what I'm trying to get into with them when I'm sitting on this journey. But they kind of struggle to find the words or articulate their values. I actually pull up a sheet of 350 values, and I say I can send this to you if you want, but I kind of like have to scroll through it slowly and go, is anything jumping out? Because if I'll say, what are your values? They're like, honesty,
integrity,
and I'm like, come on, I mean,
trustworthiness,
and I'm like, let's
innovation.
Some people honestly can't really say what they want to be known as. I'm like, let's like craft your ideal version of you. But then, and I also say, like, when was the last time that you did things that made you feel playful? When was the last time that, what do you do in a week that is adventurous or courageous? Like, is this really you? Because if you're not living up to this brand, there's going to be this dissonance, this disconnect between how you show up, and
it'll feel like a facade.
And
then it'll be so hard to maintain.
Which makes imposter syndrome worse. Because then they're like, I'm putting on this act rather than just documenting what I'm actually doing.
Or they feel like a fraud because it's like, I'm showing up as the person I want to be and I'm not there yet. And I'm like, but you have to embody that person. You know, and it is tricky. You know, I sometimes I post a lot on my Instagram story, and I used to do so many things in a day, like go for a walk and go to the gym and cook and work. And now I just work, and four times a week I'll train and get out of the house. But it's like, sometimes I also think, God, do I look like I'm killing it if I'm just working all the time? And I'm like, yeah, actually I freaking love what I do. And if I had more time, I would work more. I sleep less to work more. So
Same.
And then I'll go away over Christmas. You'll see my adventure.
Are you the kind of, like, how much downtime do you need to kind of like get through it? Because for me, I get so much fulfillment from the work that I just keep going.
Yeah.
And I get, like, you know, before I had my kids, I started the agency when Ellie was pregnant, and I'd work like 48 hours straight. Like, it was ridiculous. I don't encourage anyone to do that, but I would like finish that, sleep for 6 hours, get up and be happy, and not like feeling like I was burnt out. There's certainly seasons where I feel like I need rejuvenation, and I would go out to the beach, or I go surf, or I get into nature. Like, how much downtime do you feel like you need as an entrepreneur? Because everyone's different, right? We're not all the same. Yeah.
I don't need a lot.
Okay.
I go to bed so excited for the morning that I struggle to sleep. I'm just I don't even like sleeping. No, I honestly don't need a lot of downtime, but I do have seasons. So like a Sunday afternoon, or I generally try and prepare for my week on a Sunday.
Okay.
But otherwise just like an afternoon to myself a week. I love what I do. So I'm testing this new thing. I actually heard Alex Hormozy talking about how he does meetings from midday. So I've been meeting from 1 till like 9 p.m. And then my mornings are free so that I can, because I'm really productive in the morning. I'm a morning person. So I'll write copy and briefs and do all of that really strategic thinking work in the morning, and then take a quick break and then start calls. And I like people and I love my clients. So they give me energy. Like at the end of every call, I'm like, and then I get on the next one, and it's just, I love it, you know? So not a lot of downtime, but I do get periods, you know, maybe like quarterly essentially, where I will not, or I wouldn't say not work, but I like to then work on the business, you know, be ideasy and creative. And
because it's a different mode, right? Like I heard
high level stuff.
Yeah. Cause you've got like, you've seen this with me, Emma, like I'll go in the trenches and I'll just do like the tactical stuff, but then you see me shift gears. I'm like, okay, I need to go like build something, because like it's a different mode. Building something and ideating something and then actually doing something, it's very different like switches you have to engage with.
Yeah, I really love building and ideation. I think the conceptualization of a product is so fun. But then I also really love reporting and data, you know, because I like to see how it's going. And we don't get a lot of that when working with complete startups. So I think there are definitely different modes, and there's seasons in business as well. Something that I'm learning and trying to be kind to myself for is I'm not ever going to be cruising along at, 90% consistently all year, but I will definitely be 150 or 120 and like speeding in the fast lane. And then, there'll be a week where I'm like, okay, I just need
Pull
to
over
make
for
sure
a little
everything's
bit.
working.
Did I break anything? And that's
Yeah.
why Emma's great, because she's always like, dude, just slow down just a little bit, get some more sleep. I'm like, okay. When Emma starts warning me, because Emma works her ass off, but when she starts warning me, I'm like, okay, I'll listen.
When I'm like, you're becoming slightly incoherent and people don't understand you, take an afternoon off.
Yeah, I'm like, all right, see you later. But that's interesting. So what makes you joyful for the morning? So you get super excited for the next day. Like, what are the things that you're like, oh, I'm pumped for this tomorrow? How do you anchor yourself to joy? Because you talked a little bit about NLP before. So are you
Yeah.
using a little bit of NLP there during the day?
I guess I am habitually now, in terms of making sure I've got mindfulness and moments in my day to be with myself, which I'm really avoidant of when things get hard. And I've had a really hard year. So I've noticed lately reading and journaling has been a conscious effort. Like I should read, I should journal, just to keep the habit. But the mornings for me, I discovered the power of the morning when I was on a weight loss journey.
Okay.
It was been 10 years ago now. And I had a job and I was working full time and I was going to uni full time at night.
Yeah.
So office job, full-time study, I was working till like 11 p.m. 3 nights a week with my degree. And I had no time and I was really fucking depressed. Like I wasn't depressed in the true sense of the word, but I just had no energy. I was not
That flatness,
excited
where
about
you're just like,
anything.
ugh.
Yeah, I had to go to work and I had to finish my degree and I had to go to my second job on the weekend and I just,
Too many had tos.
nothing was my choice.
Yeah.
And waking up early, it was to exercise because I had to lose weight. And then I actually just started to like it. And I realized that was the one thing, that was the only time in my day that I gave to myself. But I've always fired better in the morning in terms of my productivity and the what I produce. But I also feel it comes with, I don't know if it's the circadian rhythm, if that affects our brain power in the morning, but it definitely affects.
It does. People
yeah.
have different types, and when they're the most creative and the most alert, and there's different dips in the day depending on your patterns.
Mine is annoyingly 3 a.m. when no one's around. So I'm like, I got ideas to share. No one's there. Yeah.
Perfect.
But I've shifted that to the morning because I got kids. So then
Yeah.
you have to wake up at 5 a.m. You have to wake up at 4 a.m., whatever it is. That's really interesting. So you find that, like, maybe in life, if there's too many have to haves or need to do's or things that are not, I choose to do things. Would you say that there have been times in your life where you've needed to pivot, or do you find ways to love things that you have to do?
Yeah, look, I mean, we're humans and we're in some system to a degree. We have to pay tax.
Yeah. Have to pay rent.
have to pay
Have to
rent.
sleep. Yeah.
So I really try and reframe that to I get to.
Cool.
You know,
Okay, so consciously grabbing the have to, like those moments where we have those, maybe those negative perspectives and catch that and flip it.
Challenge it
Yeah.
and change it. Catch, challenge, change.
Oh, I
but
like that. Is that yours?
No, I learned it from Nikki Kasser.
Catch, challenge, change.
But I don't know where she learned it from. But yeah, no, so I think you definitely have to reframe what you can. But I'm really conscious of the things that I'm choosing and I can't change. And it's like, give me the serenity to change the things I can't accept and accept the things I cannot change. I don't know why that's kind of always stuck with me, but I'm like, if I don't want to do that, I'm not doing it, more or less.
Yeah.
Right. And that's kind of, that happened to me really young in life where I was just like, if I don't like this environment, I will leave. But obviously you are humbled by life as you grow up and you kind of realize, I worked at Subway for 5 years. I was a sandwich artist. I was humbled by Subway at 13. So
I love how they use the word artist. Such
oh,
good
me
branding.
too. But
That's great.
anytime I'm in a Subway now, I'm like 3 tomatoes on that sandwich. Don't you dare give me 2.
Do you get pissed off if they get it wrong?
Yeah, they're
Yeah, like,
skipping
why'd you give me
me
11 meatballs? It's 12 on the menu.
Yes.
I'm
But
gonna
you know,
count my tomato now.
I think that's business.
Yeah.
I mean, it's life. You have to, you get to move through it. If you're given another day on this planet, you get to move through it.
Love that perspective. Yeah, and I think NLP is such a powerful one, and a lot of people don't know about it. I didn't discover NLP till I was 23, and I remember I had friends around me that were doing NLP, And they started challenging me on my belief systems. Like, you know, I would say something negative and they would say, when did you decide that? I'm like, what kind of question is that, you know? But then I studied it and I had a coach and everything, and it opened up a whole new world to me. And it really allowed me to, like you were saying, catch those moments where you're like, hang on, I'm doing this because I feel pressured to, not because I want to. So let me change that.
Yeah.
You start to kind of hijack your own mind and change how you feel about things.
Yeah. I love that question. When did you decide that? You
It's
know,
a big one because it rattles people.
Yeah. And now I feel like the more aware of it you become, it's like an alarm in my head when I hear somebody say something that's a fixed mindset, you know, I wish I could, or I never got to, or I can't.
Yeah, I suck at reading, or I hate read. Like, you know, those ones where it's like, when did you decide that you hate reading?
Like, I'm learning to read, or you know, just you live in your own head, and what a terrible place to live if you suck at everything and nothing is easy.
Yeah, time for a renovation. Yeah, very cool. So, you know how we started the businesses at a similar time. I kind of went through the ringer. We were talking about this before with like startup businesses. So the conversations you'll have with a startup business are quite different to someone who's had success and looking at scaling. For you, what's been the, I guess, maybe the challenge with startup mindset and startup entrepreneurs, and also the joy there? Because I found a lot of joy in that personally. And then I know we talked a little bit about how does one transition out of that into a more established realm of business as well?
I think the biggest challenge is when you're working with total startups, you're working with people, sole traders, single founders, personal brands.
Yeah.
What's the riskiest thing in the world to invest in?
Yourself
right?
sometimes?
People.
Yeah.
So, you know, the hard thing is there's proximity and engagement, and that kind of like peak of motivation and output that comes from working together. And it's a 12-week program or package, essentially. Your success can take a couple years to build. And what you do beyond our time together is so important because we've just given you your starter kit. Now off you go.
Right.
And I think the hardest part is behavior change. Like to run a business.
That's a big one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Emma's like,
To run a business, to do the work, you've got to learn to love working 14-hour days. You're a single person running a company now.
Yeah, you're
right?
wearing all the hats.
Yeah,
you're marketing and
exactly.
bookkeeping and doing invoicing and emailing and selling.
And so I think that's the biggest challenge, because when you have revenue to reinvest into productizing the brand with tech or a physical product, that's when it gets really fun.
Yeah.
And that's what I love doing. I love to do that. I love to help people with conceptualizing their launch or what it is. How can we take your passion and turn it into a thing that people can touch or use? And that doesn't happen if that same sort of input is matched consistently to a degree, you know, over a course of a year. So you need to be able to kind of reinvest your capital. And a lot of people, I think when you're starting out, you're learning a lot about tax and accounting and whatever the rest. And I think it's just kind of, it's a different journey.
Yeah, it's almost like if you look at it like the karate belt system, if someone is like starting a business, it's like you're a white belt at everything. Like you don't know how to do tax, you don't know how to do accounting, you don't know how to potentially do sales, you've never created a product before, you've never had to create a website. Like it's just like, oh, man, I'm a freaking white belt at everything. And then you have to level up all this different stuff. So it's like you're trying to become a black belt or at least a brown belt, like too much at once, and it can create overwhelm for some people. And I think, you know, my journey was just sheer willpower and just stubbornness. I'm like, I'm gonna figure it out one day at a time. Do you have advice for people that are in that phase where they're looking down the barrel at all of these things they have to do and conquer? Do you have any advice for people that are like, where should I start? Where should I put my energy? Where should I focus my time?
Have you ever been a white belt, by the way?
I've never actually done
I've been
anything
a yellow belt.
martial art related.
I've been a white belt. I was the most impatient white belt ever, because I was like, I just want to do cool shit. And it was really
and they get
frustrating.
You doing the repeat patterns of what was it in?
Oh, it was karate. My dad's a karate sensei.
Oh, cool. Wow.
He's a nut.
So you get it way more than I get it. But
No, but it's true, you know, and I was just listening to that, and it's like euphemism for life, in the sense that, you know, fast is slow and slow is fast sometimes. And I think my greatest advice to any founder is or leader is to really be an active listener and to embrace learning, because you don't know what you don't know, and you don't know so much.
Yeah.
Right. You, especially if you're a a coach, you've mastered your craft.
Yes.
And now you think you can run a business. But you now think you can take people's money and build a business by being so good at what you do. And if you're really that good at it, then you can't be that good at business.
Right.
Right? It's like master of one.
I saw that you read The E-Myth. Have you read that one yet, Emma? Okay. I saw you read, great book. Boring as fuck to listen to, my opinion. But we might have to edit that out. But beautiful book. And I think, where he talks about, it's one thing to be a technician. Like you could be the best damn pie maker on the planet. You know how to get the crust crunchy. You know how to get the meat inside all juicy and all the rest of it. But it's one thing to be a master of creating a pie. And it's a different skill set to open a bakery and then have to deal with the customer, then have to deal with the overheads and the cleaning and all. It's like this, like you said, a coach, someone who's phenomenal as a PT, phenomenal one-on-one with a client. It's quite a different game or role you have to play to go from that to actually then running a business and then getting that off the ground. It's a very different mindset.
And that's where I feel like you've got to be, there's humility and vulnerability, and you got to leave your ego at the door, because what got you here literally will not get you there. You're the best at what you do, and you can have an inflated sense of self-worth because you've accidentally made a bit of money, right? Or easily made a bit of money. And now it's kind of like, okay, you need to be willing and open to learn and test and change, because your version 5 will not be your version 1.
Yeah.
So what you've done, and that was from my CTO, Mehdi, he said that to me on a meeting the other day, and I was like, wow.
It's a good one.
So many people are so obsessed with their first website, their first product, their first iteration of themselves, their first branding pack. And whilst I'm all for sticking to it, it's not going to be the one that you run with forever. And you need to be able to evolve with the market. And you won't if you're so hell-bent on the idea of yourself in your mind and not in the market.
Fixated on your idea rather than evolving with it.
Yeah, I think that can be an easy trap to fall into. It's, especially if you're like, I got my first brown belt, look at me go, look at my website, it's up and running. Let's just keep that because it's working. But you're saying, constantly listen, have acute awareness of what the market's reaction is and pivot with it.
Yeah.
Do you have techniques that you use with clients to help them understand that? Because I think there's a bit of a learning curve, right? When you're starting a brand.
Yeah.
Do you have things that you try to educate a client to help them understand why it's valuable? And then do you have methods of pulling that out of them and helping them find that stuff?
Look, I'd probably be open to taking some tips on this one, because I've started just being like, by the way, like what we're building now is supposed to change.
Yeah.
You're supposed to learn from the data. You have no data. You don't have systems, particularly if they're a startup. Or you've come to me to change your systems, evidence, patterns. We're going to change them again. You should change them again. So if anything is promised to you, it's that this will change, but you should have more data to change it.
Is there types of data that you look for in particular?
Obviously, customer satisfaction, things around the time to value, the results that they get, the number of referrals that you're getting, retention. So I'm a big believer, like product sells product. If people love what you do, it's the network effect, the power of one. That person can go and bring you more clients from the client group or target audience that you actually want to work with, instead of trying to throw it out there. If I got you 10 of my hardworking friends too, you're like, okay, this is my jam of who I want to work with. So I think results and referrals and indicators of customer satisfaction. And then of course, leads and sales to me, because your product can be so good that if nobody finds out about it, imagine if nobody ever found out about the iPhone. But I mean, it still would have spread pretty quickly, but not as quickly. I mean, it's obviously a shareable device, but my point is, you want your product to be able to sell itself. It's like the whole point, I guess. And then you also need to be measuring the way that you're marketing it, because your product's not going to sell itself most likely when you're getting started, right?
Yeah, there needs to be some kind of like Tinder for the sales to take place.
Yeah.
Whether that's through personal content or an ad or something to activate.
It's like fuel to the fire. I think if you've got a great brand and product, which is really why you do what you do, and that you can do it, then marketing and messaging is the wildfire that you're looking for.
Yeah. And for you, what's been your journey and your version 1 through to 5? Because that happened to us as well. Like I started off as a content creation agency. And then we started to realize clients actually had huge problems with branding. And then we started to do logos, and then we started to do websites and stacked on all this other stuff. And then we went too far. Like we had too many things that we're offering. And then that's when Emma came on board, because she's like, oh my God, dude, how much shit are we selling over here? You know? And that's when we came back and kind of like got laser focused on, okay, let's just be really great at branding. Like let's just own that and build that in the market, and then get referrals for that. And you know, that even probably the last 6 months, we've been on a really good stride where we've found out we've got into lockstep, and we've like, okay, version 80, whatever it is, like it works.
It is
for
version
you,
80. It
yeah,
feels like
it feels like version 80. But for you, did you have a lot of pivotal points from, you know, when you started to where you are now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely did. It would be wrong for me to say no, but truthfully, hand on heart, I feel like I'm where I wanted to be. You know, I think there was always this side of me, this part of me. I worked, I have corporate experience. I was in uni and working on product marketing. I kind of always wanted to have what I have now, and I was just trying to get there but didn't have it. But I blended into the fitness scene for a hot minute because I was a bodybuilder, and I did that for 4 years of my life. And that's where my following came from, because girls wanted to see how to lose weight, you know, and whatever they cared about, training and community. And that was something that I did really well, was building community with my platform, because I wasn't selling fitness coaching. So
you were just jamming out with them, sharing content.
And like it
making
was
stories.
COVID. I started a Facebook group one day. I woke up the next day to 1,200 people in it. And by the end of the week, there was 4,000 people in there.
Yeah.
And during COVID, we were doing like wine nights on lives. And, you know, it was just, I was also just looking to hang out with people. I made a lot of friends. So I think, I think version 1 was the fitness appeal, because I was very much finding products for my people.
Okay.
You know, so I had a skill set, and I was working in corporate. I finished up my corporate career working for a RTO as the global head of marketing. So I took my skill set in that industry, and then I kind of leveraged my industry, and so I can help you market whatever it is that you like. And
right, because I know the methods and the frameworks.
Yeah.
Let's take that epic knowledge and inject it into the fitness scene.
When I first launched, I launched this ebook called Your Game Plan, and it was for anyone who wanted to start a business or build an online brand.
Yeah,
I sold like 50 in a week, right?
Wow.
And then I rebranded it to the PT Game Plan.
Okay.
I sold 500 overnight.
Whoa.
I remember waking up at 3 a.m. to check my Stripe, and I was like, wait, what? You know, and it was
just by niching it a little bit harder.
I changed the cover,
Yeah.
and I just added examples that were fitness specific, which I freaking loved, because at this point I was a qualified PT.
Yeah.
I'd been working in the space. I was a bodybuilder. I was like, this is so easy. And then that's when I started marketing to fitness coaches. So it wasn't like, you know.
Wow, so you had this moment of like epiphany. You were like, you're like, hey, I just, not that you accidentally branded yourself, but you're like, okay, the first one did okay, but like, can I tweak it and niche it a bit more?
You
And
lent
then
into
bang.
your strength.
And that's when I was really, and I loved what I was doing with these people. You know, I was working with coaches that were coming to me, and I thought about coaching people for a moment as a fitness coach.
Okay.
You know, I loved what happened to me when I got healthier, and I loved seeing the evolution of people's lives when they choose healthy living. You know, the carryover effects of being disciplined, and the habits, and people chase their dreams and go get their dream job or dream wife or husband or whatever when they feel confident. So I really love that industry, and I thought maybe, you know, I'll try. And I did a couple face-to-face sessions, and I hated it. And so I was like, okay, well, how can I help these people help more people?
Right.
You know?
What did you hate about it? Just out of curiosity.
Moving the weights around
You're like, this is too
all
much,
the
man.
time.
Yeah.
Like, can you help me?
That happens with clients that they get a PT and they're like, great. You know,
That's what I do. Sorry, Nick. Yeah, so I hated that. And then I remember this one woman was like, my hands hurt. And I'm like, well, Just because you haven't done this very often.
Yeah, it's new. Of course it hurts.
They will for a while.
They'll get, I said to her, she goes, how do you stop it? I said, they'll get tougher. And she was like, ew.
It's just too brutal for me.
I was like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
I'm not made for this.
You gave it a crack. You learn quickly. I love learning the reasons why people don't like to do things. Okay, so then what did you pivot into after that?
Well, that was really once when I started working in the RTO, working in health and fitness. So we digitized their courses. They were doing seminars around the world, around Australia. I was working with Mark Harrell. We digitized their courses. He launched his first guidebook, and I was working with an influencer on an app. At that point in time, I was in the States. And then Mark and I were chatting, and he's like, do you want to come back and help me with these guidebooks? And I was like, yeah, I really do. I really do. I love the idea of building this community of women. Mark didn't at the time gel with these women, but they loved him. So I was like, I'll come back. I'll talk to them. I'll help, you know. And that's kind of like how that started in the fitness scene. And then, just kind of grew from there, helping people help people, really.
Yeah, and you talk a lot about like consumer-centric strategy, right? So I think, you know, our experience has been, it's actually uncommon for people to think that way. You know,
Really?
and it's surprisingly, I think to the level where like everyone has the idea of like, they need to be consumer centric, but then their behavior doesn't align to that.
Oh,
You know
yeah.
what
It's
I
like the
mean?
books tell us to be customer first.
Yeah,
But
they say it, they talk about it, but they don't live it. And what I mean by that is like, it's one thing to say, okay, we know what our customers want. It's a very different thing to actually go and sit and like you said, like listen.
yeah.
And like pay close attention to what's actually happening.
Yeah.
You know, do you feel like there's maybe a bit of a gap there potentially for people that could be filled with just how to go into the customer's mindset? You know, a quote I love from Mark Ritson. I don't know if you know who Mark Ritson is, but he has a quote where he's like, the first rule of marketing is you're an idiot.
Yes.
And he's like, go into the
Yeah.
customer's world and try to look back at your brand and
Yeah.
like understand what you look like in their minds.
Yeah. Do you know David Ogilvy?
Yeah, big
Father
fan.
of advertising.
I love him. I've got all his books.
Yeah. So I love his quote, you must speak their language, or as if it's the way that they think, you know?
Okay.
So clarity over cleverness.
Yes.
And if it has to be explained, it's not understood. So use the language of your audience. And I think that's mistake number one. Brand marketers, product marketers, they use the language they want to be perceived as, or they use the features and benefits that can be complicated or jargon of the industry or
They
product.
use what they want to express instead
Exactly.
of what the customer is actually interested in.
Yeah, like if you look at search terms, women are still asking how to get rid of cellulite and if they can eat carbs at night. And there's so many coaches that are like, signs your deficit's not working. And I'm like, what's a deficit?
Yeah, what does that mean,
Yeah.
man? Yeah.
But
Too
yeah.
many briefcase words where you don't know what they mean.
Yeah, so I think I don't know. I feel that to be customer centric, it's kind of like leaving your ego at the door as well, because the quicker you grow in business, the faster you remove yourself from the customer as well. You know, you end up with a team, you have a representative, you have a right hand man, then you productize your brand a little bit, and then it becomes the brand, not you. And then all of a sudden you're away from the people that you're here to serve. So I think it's really important to keep your finger on the pulse in the market. And if you don't have systems in place to do so, just talk to your clients and listen to what they're saying and ask questions and be an active listener, you know. And also I like looking at the question boxes that people ask their competitors, or the frequently asked questions of competitor websites.
Okay, that's an interesting one.
Yeah.
To find out what, you know, that might be a great way for
getting
someone to do
asked
their
a lot.
homework is like, okay, who are
Yes.
my biggest competitors? What are their FAQs?
Yeah.
What can I learn from that? Because a lot of times you hear that phrase where people are like, I don't have competition.
Idiot. He who has
So
no
many.
competition is an idiot. That's
Yeah.
a quote too.
It happens all
Actually, I
the
think
time,
I
but
said
they're
that.
like, I have no competition. Like, hang on a second. Like,
Yeah.
like if you go into the consumer's mind and you look back at your brand, what other options are on the shelf, metaphorically, right? So like, you know, they're uneducated. They don't know all the nuances. They don't know the features and the benefits and the language and the lingo. They're uneducated. So then they're looking at, okay, well, I could go to a gym, or I could go do Pilates, or I could go do yoga, or I could
Or I
go
could
get a
do
pizza.
Netflix.
Yes.
Like, that's all competition.
Threat of substitution.
Yeah, or I could
Right?
download Les Mills app or whatever
Yeah.
it is, you know?
That's something that I do hear a lot, that
Yeah.
people don't, there's no one doing it like me yet, or I'm the only one, or I'm like, okay, but if I didn't have you, what would I be doing? Because I don't think, but this is the
That's
thing.
a great question.
Yeah, I think this is the thing that comes back to exposure to true corporate environments or business academia. Like, I'm not saying you had to have gone to uni, but you know, the 5 threats in terms of threat of and threat of substitution is one of those things. There's like barriers to entry into a market, and the threat of substitution. People can look at what happened in lockdown. Everybody had to substitute.
Yep.
So, you know, just when people say, oh,
They were forced to innovate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I think if somebody says no one's doing it yet, I'm like, well, that's also great, but what would they be doing then? And then how can we make sure that we would get them to switch, you know, in terms of loyalty or the easiness to switch as well.
And the switching thing is a tricky one, right? Because you worked in FMCG, and we were talking about this before the pod, which is like, why do you pick the toothpaste that you pick? Why do you buy you were talking to the team last week, like, why did you buy that protein bar?
Yeah.
And the people are like, you know,
Yeah.
how do you,
freeze moments.
yeah, how do you engineer that switch? Like, how can you help have someone switch from the competitor to your brands?
Yeah, I feel like you've got more levers in corporate or in FMCG, because you could do like a bait and switch, or you could drop the price for a period of time, or you can pay for a destination in retail, you know? So there's so many strategies that allow you to be eye-catching in FMCG, which is challenging when you don't have that in the online world. So
Right.
I feel
Because
like
almost more of an even playing. We're all making content. We're all running
exactly.
ads.
We all have the same resources available to us. We can all reach millions of people for free.
Yeah.
So I really feel it comes down to going super deep with your target audience, really, really narrow. So you have to be able to frame your offer in a way that feels like it was made for them. And it only happens when your target audience statement is like 3 sentences long, essentially. And it may only appeal to 10 people.
Yeah.
But then
it's really going to appeal to them.
exactly.
Yeah.
And then you very quickly get all their content, make them really happy, the power of one effect, get them to refer. And then your next campaign or your next version of your website, version 2, becomes proof of concept.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of like if you're selling something online, product visibility is really important. E-commerce, we know, user-generated content, review plugins, as seen on, and not models. They want to see real girls, camera phones, lighting. They want to trust that is it really that green, or is it kind of this green?
Yeah.
And with personal experiences, like a coaching experience, they want the same thing. And a lot of coaches white label the same apps, and the screens all look the same. So it's like, okay, well, we've got to come back to using the language of your audience and solving the problem, and then proving that we can do that.
Yeah.
You know?
That's a big one. Like when we work with fashion labels, we're always talking about that UGC based content. So like, you know, for example, when we were working with Culture Kings, we noticed that the content that was performing the best for them was like a selfie, like someone just doing their thing. It wasn't like a model shoot in most cases. It was someone in a moment with friends or in a situation, or it just felt a lot more real or organic. And I think that performs a hell of a lot better on social media than this professional look.
Which I just find really interesting. What are your thoughts on the rise of AI models? Because that's a trend that's going completely counter to what we're discussing, and a lot of really big brands are embracing it, especially in
They're embracing it?
Yeah, in fashion and fitness. They
Faceless. Diverse.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think at this rate, I'll be ordering my AI boyfriend. Oh, no, it does scare me. I've been seeing the evolution of the artwork and heard they're already creating like human type robots, like iRobot style.
Yeah.
And now Instagram Friends has come out where you can like chat to an Instagram bot and tell it how you're feeling.
Yeah.
And so very quickly they're all going to come together and you're going to be designing people. And I just feel like we weren't allowed to make test tube babies. So why are we still doing this? You know, I think it's, I don't know, where do you draw the line? And then there's the whole, you know, copywriting and striking from talent and actors and.
Yeah, because I think there'll be a bit of a backlash where you'll see a trend where people go even more real because they are sick of the superficial and the AI and the unachievable look and feel that they know that there's no way that they could actually hit that in reality.
I think a lot of this technology, or some of this technology, I should say, unsubstantiated, came out 20 years ago. You know, holograms. 20 years ago, we've seen Tupac and Michael Jackson as holograms.
Was that 20 years ago?
Oh, no, I don't know how long ago
I was
that
like,
was.
my God.
But I know.
I know.
Sure.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
I
like
remember
the
seeing that and being
gorillas.
like, whoa. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was a
so
trip
we've
out
been doing this for
for
a
a long
while,
time.
I don't think people were ready for it. And I feel we kind of need to slow down the rate of adoption on certain things.
I agree. Because every day you go on, there's a new app, a new thing AI is doing. I'm like, oh,
and
man,
also
like,
it's learning so fast. There's a lot of it that's wrong, but it's only going to be so wrong for a period of time. Look at how fast GPT-4 learned compared to GPT-1. So I do worry. I don't know what my kids are going to do. I don't know.
yeah.
The future is bleak.
It's almost like too much to like download at once. Because even I've, with my kids, I'm like, fuck, man, like what are these guys gonna be dealing with?
Yeah. What is school and bullying gonna look like? It's just
terrible.
There's so much beauty in humanity. Of like, I just love the sheer challenge of like solving a problem, and that's much of the reason why I got into this industry. I love solving problems with people. I love solving problems with brands and all the rest of it. I love that creative, sticky, let's figure it out process. And I think, there are agencies out there that don't do that. They just they just sign you up, pump you through their system, take your money, and then they kind of like slap you at the end of it, and then that's it, right? But like there are great agencies like yours where you really inject yourself into the creative, really inject yourself into the problem solving, like you're trying to really work with the client, facilitate them. And yeah, for me, AI, I get the power of it. I understand how it leverages different things, but it does miss a little bit of that magic.
I think it's a great assistant and a great tool to help you grow. I think it needs to be driven by a person.
I agree.
So you can use AI to whatever degree you like, as long as you drove it to,
Yeah.
And so it's like leading a team. If you instruct your team and lead your team effectively and their product is great, you're still the leader of the team. And that's never going to be taken away from you. So I think it can and should be used right, but I hope to see AI become regulatory in support of all of these industries.
Yes.
I was speaking to somebody and she's like, God, I swear everybody in my industry is just now selling what they do. Like, I love how easy it is to start your own business and teach other people to do what you've learned to do. But there needs to be some regulation around the whole thing, coaching, finance, property, beauty, business coaching, all the rest, because I don't think it's right that there's, first of all, universities and government accreditations that now kind of count for nothing, because you can still go pay somebody else 30 grand to work with them for 6 months or something, and they've never either built the experience or worked for it. But then also, has anybody checked their content? And where did it come from? Like, how many mentors have you had in the last 6 months, and now you got a course out?
Yeah. The trajectory, like, of someone that's like, I met someone recently, and they were 21, never had a job, and now they're teaching consulting business owners. I'm like, hang on a second.
Just tell me.
Like, how do you go from job, never running a business, to now I coach people that run business? It's a big gap,
in
right?
TikTok or something? Like,
I'm not going to expose the person, but it was they're a beautiful individual, but it's just we're in a weird place where people are trying to fast track that business curb. Like,
put your white belt on.
Right, because you worked in FMCG, I worked in the business space. You and I were doing a lot with other players before we got into business, and I think that so many times it's like you got to go get the hard skills. You can't skip that step.
Skin in the game.
Yeah.
And it makes it harder for people on socials to decipher what just looks really good and what is actually credible.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much fake information, misinformation out there that one-on-one relationship with your audience and building that is even more important.
So I have a question for you guys. The governments around the world are complaining around the amount of revenue, that's been missed essentially with Facebook and TikTok and Google monopolizing the advertising space. They are the modern day media companies.
Yeah.
And, in the past, you had to have a business to set up a business, or to become a chiropractor or whatever. You had to have certificates or register with the government, right? Yeah. And now you can just start these businesses and go online and funnel all the money either wherever you're from, or, what I'm kind of getting at here is I feel the old days of small business that were kind of regulated, and you had to have degrees or qualifications or certificates or insurance at least.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is this new business landscape? I'm all for it, that I love the empowerment and the entrepreneurship, but there's got to be someone somewhere going, what happened to responsible service of alcohol?
Yeah.
Should be like the responsible service of guidance, just making sure that
advice.
Because people aren't doing their due diligence, they're losing money and they're going broke, or on the flip side of the worst side of the coin, I'm just saying. But who is looking after these people? Like, there's a lot of people that got scammed with crypto or scammed by da-da-da. And it's just like, I've heard stories of people losing their life savings. But on the flip side, I've had girls or people come to me and say that they invested significantly in another person's sort of offer. And I was like, and what did you get with that? And they were like, a support call. And I was like, like good for her for selling the high ticket and the value, but like, or him, but it's just kind of, you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's almost like there needs to be responsibility both ways. And I think people are certainly getting taken advantage of, like with, you know, oftentimes like there's, you know, there's coaches or consultants that pop up on social media platforms and you're like, there should be an accreditation for some of the stuff that they're teaching. And it's something that I think, you know, we're starting to see people talk about. Like, I think, you know, I know that there's been a lot of talk around social media censorship and all the rest of it. Like there seemingly is a change. My opinion is like, I think, you know, that there definitely needs to be some sense of regulation. I don't know what that looks like. I'm not an expert at it, but I agree. Yeah.
I think they have started cracking down on crypto advice
Have
because
they?
I think don't quote me
But
on
doesn't
it.
that suit the government? Like, let's crack
Yeah.
down on crypto.
Yeah, because I
Yeah.
think that it is a bracket of financial advice and that does have strong regulation. But
Yeah.
I agree. I think health and fitness advice, there's so many areas, nutrition, the supplements, diet advice, there's so many areas where it could be stronger, regulated.
Yeah, I think, you know, when 20 years ago we had celebrities and Hollywood icons that were very much on a totally different level to society. You know, they were like, people would go to Hollywood to look at their houses, you know, from all over the world. And now all of a sudden we've just got everyone around us, you know, there's this glamour effect that's happened to the girl next door or the person who's done it themselves. And people buy into that because they want to believe that they can have it too. And it's really beautiful that motivation and inspiration is there, so accessible. But I do feel in all areas, you know, business and health and wellness and all the rest, it's just got to be, if there was an AI regulator, it would be so great because I'm not saying we need human fact checkers or you have to have heaps of experience. Like if you've learned your way, whatever, but as long as what you're saying is true and genuine and the service is there, you know, I think.
Yeah, I do know like a lot of social platforms are injecting fact checking.
Yes.
I don't know, I haven't done my homework on it, but I've noticed that has come up a lot in conversation.
Yeah.
I do know Facebook cracked down a lot on the fitness space around guarantee of XYZ. Like, we had clients that were coming to us and saying, "Oh, my ads got shut down or my account got banned because I promised."
Supplements,
Especially around keto, like keto was a big thing, and then
weight loss.
and weight loss, guaranteeing weight loss. Instead of Facebook putting themselves in a position where they regulate it, they just turn it off.
Yeah, you couldn't even put scales on a picture.
Really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure like measuring tape or anything that implied that it would alter weight. I'm like, well, hang on a second. Why?
It's a part of the process.
Yeah.
It almost seemed like too aggressive in some cases, but it is a worthy conversation because like who regulates it? Like how much should it be regulated? Who
And
makes
what's
those
the
decisions?
agenda?
Yeah.
What's the agenda behind regulating it? Because who's winning? And I mean, that's a whole other conversation.
Either
but
way, it's monopolized, right?
I just think coming back to the consumer, you know, getting help and getting advice will expedite growth when starting a business or in any journey. You know, you pay to learn or you pay with time to learn. So I definitely feel that reaching out and getting help is important. Working with experts and asking, but just ask to see their other work or their experience or
do some due diligence.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's also your
Get them
money.
to prove their concept.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like you have a responsibility to yourself, and we all learn. Like we've all made decisions in business where I'm like, oh, I could have used that platform, or I should have done this, or wish I went with that guy. But like, I mean, it's part of learning, but you can mitigate risk.
Yeah, I think it's so important, especially like for people that are looking to get an agency, because I don't know what your experience has been, but we've seen some stuff with other agencies where we're like, oh my gosh, man, these people took you for a ride. You know, I think it is kind of easy to set up an agency as a freelancer, especially with, you know, people, the way they're running their businesses now, work from home, you can get contractors around the world, which is great. But then at the same time, it's like, you know, who's like in your court as a client, like who's got your side, who's vetting your best interests into the equation.
Yeah. I am always cautious or I would be cautious of agencies that don't spend time with you, because how can I write websites myself. I do not outsource that. I don't give it to anyone. I write everyone's website myself. And
when you say write, you're doing the copy or like
the
coding?
copy.
Or,
So I'll write the copy, and then that then forms like the graphics brief and the campaign overview, and then everything kind of goes from there.
Yeah.
And
that's your jam. You're like, I love that. Give that to me.
Love that.
Yeah. You're speaking Emma's language.
So for me, it's like if you have hired an agency and you kind of have a couple of onboarding sessions or a planning session, and then they go away and work on things, like how can they possibly, you know, unless, especially most agencies aren't super industry specific,
right?
You know, whereas we're very fitness or health and wellness focused. We're very in that world of people. We understand the market through and through, no matter if you're on like the yogi end or the bodybuilding end, because it's like we understand what drives people, but how can you, you know, be involved in the process or trust that it's tailored when you're not meeting with these people? So I just think that's something.
It is a flag. We get a lot of people that come to us because they felt like they just weren't given face-to-face time, and they love the amount of face-to-face time that they get with our agency. It's so important. And you've got to build that relationship and connection and ask them questions and give them the opportunity to ask you questions as well.
Yeah, that we kind of labeled it like the facilitation process, because I think interesting for us, it's not until the end of a project that the client gives us this feedback. Because, you know, the client comes to you because they're like, I want the logo, I want the reach, I want the thing, right?
Yeah.
And then you angle it to promise them like, we're going to make that happen. Our feedback always at the end is, oh my God, you guys were amazing. I love talking to the team. I love hanging out with you guys. I have clarity. Like that seems to be the feedback. It's not like, oh my God, I love the logo. It's, oh my God, I've loved the experience with you and your team.
Yeah.
You know, because we have a rule where if the client's going over a certain period of time, we get on a call. Like no matter what, like let's just get some FaceTime. Let's see how they're going. Let's give them an update. It's not easy to do that. It's taxing and time consuming, but it's so important.
Yeah. I also feel they really value accountability. You know, businesses get agencies to do the things that they can't do because they don't have the team required to do so. But that's something that they need. So it's something that they're interested in, they value, but they can't do it. So you become the facilitator of their vision. Yeah. And there's a lot of like hope and trust and excitement that they're sharing with you as part of that vision for that period of time. It's like it's a super fun process. I feel like I'm everyone's business partner when I'm working with them.
That's how we feel.
Yeah, like I'm like just sad to see them go, and then I miss them for a little bit, and then I'm like, oh, okay, now I got new children, new business partners, you know.
I'll mourn you for a week.
And so I feel like it's such a close process that it should be treated with that respect. And you know, I understand boundaries in business as well, but also I also know what it's like to work 14-hour days if I'm working late at night and I want a response. Like, you know,
the amount of time and energy that goes in, I always feel like I'm so invested in the success of their product or their business as it goes out the door, and we're like watching them when they launch it and just how it performs. And I wish, but I would love to just have people stay for longer, you know, and this is the thing with the startup period. They kind of like give you everything just to get the job done and to get started. But really the magic happens after. Like we'll get it done for you, but you're going to get the best results from me when we've actually got something to come back to and read and reflect on, and you've got market feedback. And it's almost like that 12-month later period. It should be like mandatory. You know, actually a few of them have been coming back now, which is really nice. But that's when we look at it and go, okay, how did we do? And how is it going? And, you know, we said that we wanted to work with this group of people. How are you liking it? One of my clients actually did come back to me. We launched her. She was, gosh, I've worked with her for a long time, but we took a break, and this has been her best year in business since we really niched on the mummy market, and being very specific on the kind of mum that she works with. And she's now building a second gym and just has been blowing up, and it's just so rewarding to see. We had a meeting about building her first tech build this week, and I'm just like, you are killing it. She did my first ever online course, the Fitness Business Strategy, that I launched in 2020, and then became a big appetite client, did the accelerator program, and now she's been working back with me one-on-one. And I'm like, this is my like poster child client, you know, in the sense that
you're reinvesting and you're figuring out your passion too, because she also kind of realized that she didn't love the market that she was originally in. She grew out of it, which you're allowed to do as a person,
Totally.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's always fear around that. Like, you know, I'm going to kill my entire momentum as an entrepreneur if I change. And it's like, never the case. Like,
Yeah.
once you've earned your stripes and you've built that muscle, like you can just adapt into a new environment really quickly.
Have you read Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective
Not
People?
yet. Everyone tells me to read that book. I haven't read
It's
it.
a really boring listen. It's a really boring listen. Man, he sounds old. But
We're going to love you, man, if you're listening.
but the book, he talks about a concept called kill your darlings.
Okay.
And this is one of the first concepts that I learned in marketing. It was really tricky for me as a product marketer. I loved this vegan breakfast smoothie that we'd created at the time, and the blueberry muffin flavor was so yum. It was so delicious and so thick. It tasted like cake batter.
Oh my God.
And it just didn't sell. And I couldn't understand why it wouldn't sell. The packaging looked great. I was really proud of it because it was one of the first lines that I'd launched like on my own. My boss at the time was kind of like, okay, now off you go.
Yeah.
And I came back with it. And I was also kind of disappointed because it wasn't working. But I just loved it. And I knew people would love it if they tasted it, but they weren't tasting it. So he actually told me about the concept. And then I read the book. I remember the book, Kill Your Darlings. And it basically says sometimes you can love something and you've got to let it go in business because you can invest a lot of time into it, but the cost of keeping it running or the cost of staying the same and the opportunity cost of not redirecting your resources is far greater. And what you're actually trying to do can still be done. It's like not the what, it's the why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can still help people in a different way, right? So
exactly.
like, you know, you're having this big impact. You're getting the same buzz or the same dopamine and serotonin you would get one-on-one, but you just found a new angle or a new approach to do it.
Yeah.
And kind of similarly, it happened with me, which I love content creation. It's my jam. I love personal branding content. And running a personal branding content creation agency is tough because there's a lot of back and forth. People get very personable about their content creation, or they don't feed into the creative process, and they drag their heels through the process. So it was just like we tried every possible angle, and I was like, I love this, but we have to kill it. We have to move on. And then I found my new darling, which is branding, which is great. But I agree that at some point you have to let go. You can't force things into the market. They either adopt or they don't.
We even see it in the creative process. Like sometimes you get so attached to an idea, it might be a name you've come up with for a client, that you're so fixated on it that you can't move past and generate other ideas that could be better. You're actually blocking opportunity and growth.
That's a big one.
Because you're so attached to something. And if you killed it off, let it go, then you would actually move to the next level and push yourself past that point. It's hard to do though. It takes some practice.
Have you found out on any projects where you've slayed it, you nailed it, and the client's like, I don't get it, I don't like it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One client,
And then you're like, well, why? Yeah.
One client was like, I don't even know what we're selling. And I'm like, the result. And then I saw their advert and I'm like, I won't say too much, but it was like 12 weeks coaching. And I'm just kind of like, well, it's like so close, but so far. It looked amazing. Their branding was amazing. It looked so good. But it comes from, I understand where that comes from as well. It's fear, you know, and it's funny because we can talk about killing your darlings, but then also stick with it. You need to gain data. So that there is an ability to understand, or the need to understand that, because I've also been in a position or seen it with clients where I'm like, we need to let this look go, this feel go. It's not working for you. But then also, but not that many people have seen it. I'm like, yeah, but why haven't they seen it? You know? So I think they're not the same thing. They sound like the same thing, but they're really not. You know when you're holding on to something that's costing you, and you also know when you're trying to change something too quickly because it's not working. You know?
Yeah.
Do you have any tips of how someone could identify which one it might be? Because it can look confusing to a client in their minds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Data.
Yep.
You have more data from the one that you've been holding on to that's not working.
Right.
And the new version that's just launched, you don't have any data.
Yeah.
You know, if you look at the time that you've been on social media for maybe the last 12 years or whatever, and then you look at the time in which your new offer has been live, it's not even a drop in the ocean.
Yeah.
Right? So you can't 6 weeks in be like, I need to change it. there's multiple
It's
variables.
time to percolate.
Yeah,
It's time to resonate with people.
And
connect.
also understanding the seasons of your industry. I think that's really important for in business. It's very commonly understood based off previous scan data from grocery or pharmacy or ordering trends or manufacturing trends.
Like this time last year, we sold X amount of product.
Exactly.
So we're expecting to do it again.
Yeah.
You can see the rhythm
Exactly.
throughout the
Sales
year.
peaks.
'Cause
Especially,
yeah.
sorry, and especially with food because it's like seasonal, right?
Yeah,
So
true.
I think people, personal brands need to realize there are seasons and there is cause and effect. I'm not saying that it's like weight loss season or when people get their tax back. I'm saying you need to watch your industry and you need to try and find through analysis the reasons that these are the seasons because if you can tap into that, you can plan for it as well. And also you know not to make rash decisions if November, December people aren't buying because by January you could have pulled it or reskinned it because you think you want to be ready for the January 28th weight loss kickoff, but really you've now just undone all of the momentum that you've been building when people weren't interested.
Yeah. Do you find that there's ever the contrary to that? Like, for example, like every personal trainer has something in January, but if you launch it in December, you can kind of like get the market early. Do you look for those kind of angles as well?
Yeah, definitely. I feel it just comes down to the market you're talking to.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not a matter of being the one that's different because I said this the other day as well, but if a tree falls in the woods and no one's around to hear it, doesn't make a sound. So people aren't necessarily going to know if you're not very popular and everybody else is and you're trying to cut through the noise, you're only going to cut through the noise to your audience anyway.
Right.
That's not the best strategy. It's more like, okay, who would be relating to my offer? How can I make my offer relate to my audience right now? So maybe
relativity is such a big one.
Yes.
Like, are they gonna connect?
exactly. So if you were to come out with something in December, it could be if you're fearful of gaining weight, if you don't want to start the new year even worse off than you feel now, like if you're committed to starting the new year, actually the version of yourself that you want to become instead of waiting till January, that kind of messaging becomes trying to find a problem and solve it. Maybe people actually do want to start now. Maybe they're tired. They've got no one to spend Christmas with and they're depressed and they just want to go all in on self-development. I don't know.
Been there, done that.
Find it. Find it.
And the who you become one is such a big one. I feel like it's an under-communicated part of marketing. But like, for example, I heard you jam on this, but we use this example all the time because people get it. But like Nike, it's like, well, if I buy a pair of Air Nikes, I know you're wearing the Pandas, but like if I buy a pair of Nikes, who do I become? Like, if you're wearing a Sailor Moon shirt or an NWA shirt, you're communicating this signal like, I'm in this tribe.
Yep.
I love anime or I love, rap or whatever it might be. I think, also being attuned to like, okay, when someone sees this offer or sees this ad or whatever it is, like looking at who does the person become if they buy it and talk to that. Cause I think that that's such an under exercise piece of advice for like what to deploy in content and things like that as well.
I think that's the best way to word selling the result because we're trying to transform the person, no matter if it's health or fitness or finance. Like if you're trying to sell wealth and financial security, or if you're trying to sell physical fitness or confidence, it's who does the person become? And I love the Nike ads. There was one campaign that I used to reference and they have this woman called Tomorrow and she is running through the city and then puts her shoes back on and gets under her desk and goes back to work. And then they've got track stars and athletes running and they're showing that everyone can wear Nike, like lots of different niches as you would think, but they all are a go-getter, right?
The common thread is like they're in the pursuit of greatness or they want to do something relentless.
And Qantas do the same thing where they show families getting people back together. They actually used a real family from COVID that was reunited, which I really love the Qantas ads. I love
I haven't
Qantas ads.
seen these. I gotta check these out.
Yeah, so
I'm always referencing ads and Emma's like, stop with the ad references.
So
They're great. We
But
just need more
they're great.
diversity.
Yeah.
there's this mom and son, and he was living far away, like in the UK or something. And after 4 years of not seeing each other, they'd surprised her, and he was there, and they filmed it. And it's who you become, but what they were showing was family.
Yeah.
And you know what's smart when you're selling flights for $10,000 in COVID? Yeah. What will people pay for? Family.
Yeah.
Oh, goosebumps, right?
Yeah.
Like my friend Matt Purcell has this one line where he worked with a company. It was like a yacht club, and he'd come up with this one line. And he said, "You only get 18 summers with your kids."
Wow.
And I was like, oh, like,
Yeah.
like copy's so
Damn.
powerful.
Yeah.
And I think, I get it. People are using like ChatGPT to write their copy and stuff like that, but it's missing. Like sometimes when you read it, you're like, ChatGPT for sure wrote this. There's how would you describe it, Emma? It's kind of like how do you read something and resonate with it? Like it's not easy to pull it off.
Like
No,
the
it's not.
connotation.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always say like ChatGPT doesn't read between the lines. You know, it's like the English language, you can say so much and you can imply a lot. You can make people feel so much without actually saying the thing. You know, especially in Australia, we have a lot of slang and euphemism and things that you can reference that just that can convey a feeling so quickly that it gets lost with ChatGPT.
It does. The nuances and the colloquialisms and the uniquenesses of like language to like location as well.
I guess like localism is a big one with copy, right? Because if you write copy in London or if you write copy in South Africa or in the US or in Australia, it's different. You know, like they don't even use the word fortnight in the US. So we do
What do they call it?
Is it bi-weekly or
Yeah.
because they have the game Fortnite. Like, you're talking about the video game? We're like, no. Like, so for you, do you have any pointers when you're writing this copy on this on these websites and these ad funnels? Like, do you have things that you're like, I gotta make sure this is in here?
Yeah, I generally really want to understand the pain points and the goal, and then I want to try and solve the pain point with the goal in like 5 words.
Okay.
That's what I try and put above the fold.
Yeah.
You know, but
Like at the top of the site.
yeah,
And, solve their problem in 5 words.
Yeah, or essentially sell the results
Okay.
and then solve their problem like as a tagline or underneath. And I feel something that I also try and consider is really personifying their audience. If they've had if they've had clients in the past, I ask them to think of their top 2 or 3 and I kind of make one person out of them. And I think, what music are they listening to? Where do they get inspiration? What makes them laugh? Are they quirky? Are they funny? Do they use slang? What kind of TV shows are they watching? Where do they go to? Are they going to be shocked if I said look good naked? You know, or would they rather be confident in summer? It's like you got to really know how these people are talking. It kind of comes back to what I was saying before about from David Ogilvy. So I think that the main thing is really understanding my client and who they want to work with, and then really understanding that person.
Yeah.
It's a very personal process.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What part of you do you think has the ability to tap into that easily? Would you classify yourself as more of a logical thinker or a creative thinker? Like
Logical.
Yeah.
I just ask questions.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just I've definitely started leaning into intuition a little bit more. Like I can tell when I'm on a roll with somebody. I don't think it's intuition. I think it's feedback. If I start saying certain buzzwords or verbiage for their website and they're kind of like, yeah, I'm like, I'm gonna keep going on this path. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if they're looking at me like they don't get it, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna ask questions.
Yeah.
Right? It's kind of like a buzzer. It's being able to read people. It comes from sales as well. You know personality types and who to push with or how to push a person. And if I'm kind of getting a response that I can tell when someone's not all in on it or they're not excited. And that's usually when I'm like, what's happening here? What's going on in your head? Yeah, tell me what you're thinking. I need to know. And I can't move forward if you're looking like that. You know, I really need to know what, but then usually.
Like, dude, I've had those calls.
Yeah, but they really appreciate that.
Yes.
Because then they're kind of like, oh, okay. And it's safe to say that you think my idea sucks, by the way.
Yeah.
It's so safe.
Yeah. Because they see the effort that's gone in and they see the amount of work and they go, oh, I don't want to like hurt feelings or tread on toes. And you're like, please tell me, we want a good result. We want the best possible result. You can only do that with your feedback and your genuine like critique.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think when it comes to copy and like what Emma's talking about, and there's moments where you're presenting something copy or visually to a client and they just glaze over, you got to get data. Like that's the moment, like you were saying, you got to put the ego at the door, collect data, you know, because there's been times where we've had clients on a call, they're like, okay, let's sign off on that logo. And we're like, hang on a second, you're pan-faced. Like, if it's not a hell yeah, it's a hell no. Like, what are we missing?
They just want to move on with it.
They just want to move on. We're like, no, we don't want to move on because we know that the ripple effect of that is just, you know, maybe bitterness or, you know, disparagement, or they're like, I didn't get what I paid for. So we like, no, let's hit reset, man. Let's talk it out.
Yeah, see, that's a red flag as well because I'm kind of like, hang on, I've had that happen too. And in the past, I've just run with it because I'm like, they're trusting me and I think this looks mad.
Yeah.
And then I get blamed. And then
Right.
now it's kind of like, okay, I need some. And they're like, I just don't know. And I'm like, I should have picked up on this at the start. You know, I think that.
Like, at what point did this begin?
That indecision or lack of care.
Yeah.
I've had a branding session with a new client this week, and she presented to me like 6-page PowerPoint presentation of all these different websites from different industries that she loves and what she loves and doesn't about them. And I was like, thanks, girl. You've just done like half my job for me. But honestly, I was just like, yes, I love this because your enthusiasm and you're buying
invested.
in.
Yeah.
You care.
Yeah.
I want to work with people who care. You
Yeah.
know, and you should care so much. If you've ever insulted someone by accident or said something at a dinner table and you get that, you know, like people, there's no poker face in branding if you care.
Yeah.
You're
That's so
either
true.
like, I fucking love that,
Yeah.
or I don't know.
Yeah, we're like, any emotion's good emotion. We just want it.
Yeah.
The whole switch turned off thing is like a big red flag.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think anyone that's tuning in and has that experience, you got to analyze, like, at what point did that happen? When did that begin? Because we've had it happen where we've tracked back weeks. We're like, it probably started like 8 weeks ago when this happened. You can usually trail it back. You got to catch it early, right?
Yeah.
Do you have things that you look for that are red flags early on in the process?
Yeah, unfortunately, I feel like they tend to come out a little bit later.
Yeah.
I think that it's a difficult one because
You can't always pick it, right? You get burnt either way.
and people are super invested when they've just paid for something. The
Yep.
value of a service diminishes significantly after it's been paid for as well, right? So if somebody's just signed up like to anything, they're pretty committed. You really want something that you just bought. It's very uncommon to go be like, oh fuck, I just paid for this and I don't want it. So you know what I mean? So when people start, they're all great. And then it's kind of like either you weren't honest with me or you really respect me and didn't feel safe or confident to speak up, or I'm not sure here, but there's an element of like, I don't know if it's like a lack of passion or a lack of focus. I think that's, and then sometimes that can be like an internal thing. And that's when it is important to understand maybe you needed a business coach that was more to mindset coach you in business versus a strategy or an agency to deliver a product. And I think that's kind of my challenge with my space in the market as well is I do work with consulting and advisory only if that's something that people want, but our bread and butter is delivering. And I feel I kind of switch between, okay, now I'm taking on consulting clients, but now I've got a very more structured sort of onboarding process for that.
Yeah.
And then it goes back to we're doing only deliverables because if you can't come in at this level, you're not ready for us, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, you start to like earn that through experience, right? You earn your stripes in running an agency, and then, you know, from the sounds of it now, you're starting to do a lot of the bigger stuff, which is, it's a different game in and of itself. But typically I find that clients that have a run on the board, have had success, know how to make a decision, know how to tell you when they don't like something.
Yeah.
You know, it's a different experience.
I also really love when a client can tell me I'm wrong. You know, I was meeting with a new client this week for the second time. We were writing a website copy and she's in India and she said, oh, I just don't think that would land with my market. I said, perfect. Keep coming. Tell me more because, you know, they're culturally different and I'm trying to understand her market too.
Yeah.
And I was vulnerable enough to say that I'm not trying to present as an expert.
Yeah.
I understand people, but if this is something that people are not likely to say, we can't put it on your website.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I need your help to localize this copy. And so we did it together.
Yeah.
And at the end, she was so happy, you know. So I think that's also like a part of business because when you start, you say yes to everything. And and then you get to a point where you're like, okay, let's do this one together because this is your business and these are your people and you know them better. You should know them better than I do.
Yeah. And it sounds like as a facilitator of your services and your businesses, you really try to partner with your clients, which is not something I've seen a lot of.
Yeah.
So I really want to champion that. I love that you're doing that. That sounds like it's really paying off.
I really do care deeply for all my clients. Like all the frustrations that come from running a business, it's like, it's not a personal thing. It's like, it's the layering of people, businesses, tech, platforms, time, and everything else. And I feel I really want it to work so badly for everyone that, you know, if it gets to the end, and it's never really happened, you know, but I just always watch and I'm just like, come on, like we keep a weekly group session for all of our ex-clients that can come every week.
Love that.
I've got one after this. So
Love that.
Yeah. So
That's
every
great.
Friday we do a workshop where anyone can come at any time and I'll directly support them with whatever they want to show me.
I'm inspired
Anything.
by that.
Yeah.
I might have to jump on it and say hello.
Do it. Oh my God, I would love that.
Yeah, I love being like a fly on the wall, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it when you get to go to an event and people don't know that you're a speaker or they don't, you know, you're just chilling, you get to like experience it. So really cool. But yeah, I love your passion, love your enthusiasm. We had a great look at your website and all the things that you're offering. Do you want to shout out or highlight anything that you're doing now? Drive some traffic.
Yeah, thank you. You guys can find me at bigappetite.com. That's big appetite with a U because we're hungry for growth on the upward trajectory. And Jenna Davies Marketing on Instagram. We are working really hard to scale startups. Scale up startups with strategy, software, and tech stacks, really. So if that is you, get in touch. Would love to hear from you. And I have a podcast as well if anybody wants to tune in.
Shout it out.
It's called She's Taking Over. Because
Love the title.
because she's ambitious.
Yeah, she's taking over. Cool. Is it just yourself? Do you have a co-host?
Yeah, it's just
or anything?
myself, and I just like I do interviews from time to time. I need to do more of those when I'm a bit more organized.
Yeah.
Would love to have you on.
Yeah, for sure. I'm in. Get me on.
Yeah.
Cool. Would love to do that.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for
guys.
just sharing your stories with us. We appreciate you being here and keep crushing it.
Thank
Keep
you.
watching.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome.
All right.